Hi guys, it's Lydia and welcome back to another episode of Children of Divorced. I had the craziest morning. I woke up this morning around 8 a.m. I don't know why I woke up early. I didn't set an alarm. I think it's because I sleep with the blinds open, and so no matter what, I'll just wake up when there's light. I'm so pick me. I just get up early and I don't even mean to. That's not what I'm saying. That part's irrelevant. But I woke up and I was like, I do not want to do anything this morning. I want to stay in bed all day. I went and got breakfast at my college dining hall, and then I came back to my dorm room and I was like, I'm gonna stay here all day until I have to leave again for food. And I was in bed eating chocolate covered peanut butter cups that I got from Whole Foods, which are delish. I get a variety. I get dark chocolate and milk chocolate. I have about 4 different kinds of peanut butter cups in my drawer right now because it depends on my mood. I want a different kind of chocolate peanut butter cup. Again, I digress. But then I hear a knock on the door and it's the maintenance guy, because a few days ago I put in a maintenance request because my window was broken. And by broken, I mean it was just shutting. I would open it and it would just shut by itself. And I am traumatized by broken windows because, brief story time, even though I swear my entire podcast is always constantly a story time and we are always going off topic, but when I was 16 years old, I did a summer program at an unnamed college school in New York City, and I had a roommate, but she was gone that weekend for something. She had a tournament, I don't even know. So I'm by myself in this college dorm, and I wake up one morning on a Saturday and I can't lift my head because the window has fallen on top of my head. The bottom pane of the window fell on my head and there was glass everywhere. There was blood. I was in a daze. Everyone was like, didn't you wake up when the window fell on you? And I was like, no guys, I was probably knocked fucking unconscious, so I don't know. And I just went out and I found someone and I took a few pictures of the window and my bed that was covered in glass and blood. And then I went to hospital. But honestly, I was so happy because I had these really cute college EMTs taking me to the nearby hospital. And I was like, okay guys, maybe I should get into accidents more. And anyways, at the hospital, I didn't need stitches or anything. Honestly, it was fine. I had a few cuts on my hands and my head, but it was fine. And I was lucky. I was sleeping on my side, so it hit the side of my head. If it hit the front, my nose would have probably broken or something, so I'm super lucky. And I came back to the college after being at the hospital, and the room was cleaned up completely. They fixed the window. They didn't want a lawsuit or anything. They fixed it all, and luckily I'd taken pictures, otherwise there was literally zero proof that had happened, and I would have been the boy that cried wolf. Then they moved me and my roommate into another room where the window was not close to my head, because for some reason in that room the window was super close to the beds. And yeah. And then they gave me a $50 Grubhub voucher and all was sorted. I was like, yeah, guys, it's fine. I'll take the voucher. So when I saw that this window in my current college dorm was broken, I was like, I need to get this fixed ASAP. I'm traumatized. And so, yeah, the maintenance guy decided to come at 10 a.m. I hear knocks on the door and I'm sitting in bed with chocolate peanut butter cups on my chest. And what am I doing? I'm on Instagram Reels or something like that. He was a sweetheart. His name was Mr. Hammond. I'm obsessed with him. And he was great, but I needed to give him space. I wasn't just gonna sit on my bed. My college dorm was very small. I wasn't just gonna sit here and watch him fix my window for 2 hours. So I was forced out of my room essentially. Even though my plan was to stay in my bed for the entire day, the universe had other plans for me. And so I went out, I went on a walk around campus. Well, not really. I just walked to like the next door building where there's like a big common room for like all the students. And I sat there for a bit and I was on the phone with my guardian angel. And then I came back and he was still working on it. And so I just took the keys for my Vespa. And bear in mind, I'm still in my fucking pajamas. I had my pajamas on, which were like a little pair of brandy shorts and a little tank top, and I had a jumper, and then I also had this big trench coat and a pair of Uggs. No socks, my legs were bare, and it's like fucking cold right now, because the weather in DC is just like a little bit crazy. So yeah, I just take the keys to my Vespa while I'm wearing literally nothing underneath my big trench coat. And I was like, I'm just gonna get it out the garage and like go somewhere because I'm bored, like I don't know what to do. And so I just took my Vespa and I went to like a nearby park that I recently found because the lady that I walk dogs for recommended that I walk the dogs there. And it's the most beautiful park ever. And I don't know how it's taken me 8 months at college to find this park. Like it's literally a 20-minute walk away from me, or a 5-minute drive if you were me this morning. And so yeah, I end up in this park and like I'm in this wooded trail, and I swear to God you wouldn't know you're in a city, and it's beautiful. And I was just listening to music. My favorite song right now is Low by Victoria Bigelow. You guys have to listen to it. It's crack cocaine, okay? Honestly, I listened to it on repeat. I think I listened to it like 5 times this morning. It was such a vibe in this park, and I had the most fantastic time, and no one was there, and I was just like dancing in the woods, and it was like the best morning I've had in ages. And I woke up this morning super depressed, not in a good mood, being like, I'm gonna stay in bed all day. And then just like things happened, and all of a sudden I ended up in this park like dancing to Victoria Bigelow, and it was just a vibe. And then I came back and I was locked out of my room because Mr. Hammond had finished and he closed the door and he locked it. And guess who didn't bring their keys with them? Me. And guess who lives in a fucking single? Me also. I'm like, fuck, where do I go? What do I do? There's like a key room nearby. So that was my plan. And I'm in the elevator with 2 boys from my floor. And I'm explaining to them my situation, literally telling them everything that I told you guys. I'm like, I'm traumatized by windows. Okay, this window hit me. They're like looking at me like blank, like, okay, girl. And then we're leaving the building and they're like, oh, by the way, the maintenance guy is still in the common room. And I'm like, that's critical information that you decided to leave out this entire time. Like, I just told you my entire life story and you couldn't have like, I don't know, told me that 10 minutes ago. Okay, I'm being dramatic. It was like 3 minutes ago, like 3 minutes ago. And so I went and found Mr. Hammond in my common room and he let me back into my room, and then he was giving me like tips about the fact that I should glue my carpet to the floor with like some double-sided tape or stuff. Just a very nice guy. And I told him my story. I told him about the window falling on my head and he was like, damn, pardon my French, but damn. And it was just funny. So that was a funny morning, and now I'm dressed. I don't know about ready to attack the day. I'm still gonna like stay primarily in my room or in the dining hall or in a coffee shop. But I think it's funny that, you know, I made this plan to stay in bed all day, which honestly was a great plan. And it wasn't just because I was depressed, it was because I was tired, and it was just what I wanted to do today. But sometimes the universe has other plans for us. And today the universe wanted me to, I don't know, go on a side quest. And that was apparent. So I think this ties really well into the topic of today's episode, which is being flexible and being able to adapt to new circumstances and being able to adapt when challenges or hurdles are thrown in your way and it kind of knocks you off course or knocks you off your plan a little bit. Because this morning I could have been easily like really angry, really pissed that Mr. Hammond was in my room, and I could have just like sulked in the common room, or I could have just like gotten into a worse mood. But I kind of took it as like an opportunity to do something else with my morning than what I'd planned. And I think I just really practiced flexibility this morning, and I was just so spontaneous and had a really fun morning, actually. And I think the ability to be spontaneous is very desirable, but it's also hard to be. I used to be very much not spontaneous. I think my eating disorder made it really hard to be spontaneous, because when I was in high school, for example, and people like wanted to go out for a coffee, wanted to go out for a snack, for dinner, I would have to know like in advance, because I would need to like plan around it. And I know if you have an eating disorder, you kind of know that same feeling, like you kind of relate. There's not a lot of ability to be spontaneous there, because I don't know about you, but I was always like calculating my calories and my meals, and also because I had bulimia, I always felt very fragile. So I felt like anything would kind of tip me off the edge into a binge. And so in order to stay on track, I'm doing quotation marks by the way, but on track, I had to be very in control of like what I was eating, where I was eating, when I was eating, and it had to be like da 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 da. And I didn't really have room for any flexibility whatsoever, because it would push me off the edge. To give you an example, like I used to, on days where I wouldn't throw up, I had to be very rigid in what I ate. And so I liked specific things for lunch. I used to like to eat just a sandwich, which is funny, but that was a safe food for me. And I liked to pick it apart in a certain way so that it would take me like 40 minutes to eat it. And I was so rigid, like I was not able to have lunch with people because I needed to do that. It was kind of this ritualistic thing I did. And the same with dinner. Like I didn't like to go out for dinner with people because I liked to make my low calorie foods at home. And I was really rigid as well, even with like cooking at home, like with my mum, because I wanted to be in charge. I wanted to cook. And you know, if people would invite me like for dinner or invite me around, it would really be a big challenge for me and a really big decision. Now it's pretty easy. If I want to go, I say yes. If I don't, no. But it's not because of like food or stuff. But back then it was like, oh, I don't know, like because I need to do this. And it just became like such a big decision. And I was always so scared of making the wrong one. And so yeah, I could not be spontaneous for the life of me, or when I did, it was really unenjoyable. And then yesterday was a day that just showed me how far I'd come with that spontaneity. Because I was just walking. I was walking these two dogs that I walk in the neighborhood near my college, and they're super, super cute, and they're the lights of my life. But I was walking them and I ran into one of my friends, and he walked with me back to drop the dogs off at the house. And then he's like, let's go like to a coffee shop together and like let's go get food. And I was like, yeah, I would love that, because I was ready for a snack, but I was just so spontaneous. Like I really practiced spontaneity there, because I was like, yeah, let's go. And we went to like somewhere like I haven't usually been to, and like I tried a bunch of pastries and it was delicious. I had like a this amazing pistachio chocolate croissant. But it was just so much fun, and I was just really proud of myself because it just showed how flexible I am now. Another way I've seen that I'm flexible around food is I was at a restaurant 2-3 weeks ago, and I ordered salmon and like vegetables and stuff. That sounds a little sad, but I promise it was good. And we don't get a lot of like fish in our college dining hall, so I was trying to boost my omega-3s. But anyways, they they come to bring our food and they gave me a salmon burger instead. And in the past, I would have freaked the fuck out and would have been really upset and probably would have been a dick to the waiters and been like, not a dick, but I would have sent something back and been like, I want that. Or I would have eaten it but felt really uncomfortable. Maybe I would have binged, maybe I would have purged. But this time I was like, cool, yum, I love a salmon burger too. And I just ate it up. And I was like, did I order the other thing? Yeah, but this was delicious too. And I think it was just amazing to have that flexibility and to just be so easy. And it also shows that recovering from an eating disorder just makes you a better, nicer person in general, because, you know, they work hard in restaurants and you go and you do pay to order something, but also like mistakes happen. And why would I send back something that was like perfectly good and fine and like make the waiters work harder and like make it more of a mess than it already is? You know what I mean? Or not a mess, but just like make it more difficult than it already is. There's also limits, though, to being flexible. I would describe myself now as being a very relaxed person. And I think recovering from my eating disorder has allowed me to do that. I think becoming pretty sure and confident in myself has allowed me to do that. But there's also limits to my flexibility. For example, I had this male friend back in October, and I really liked him. He was a really chill guy. We had a lot of fun together. Um, but he was going through a lot of the time. He was going through a breakup. I think he was finding school a little overwhelming. And so sometimes he could be a little flaky. And I was like, you know, it's fine. Like, I'm totally chill. Just text me, like, when you're not able to make things. Because I am very understanding. I know people have things going on. I am someone that also has things going on. I know we're not able to make plans all the time, but like just communicate that to me. And that's what I asked of him. And eventually we had to have like a more serious conversation like about our friendship, because he wasn't communicating to me. He was just being flaky. So we would make plans for like tomorrow, for example, and then he wouldn't text me until 7 p.m. being like, okay, never mind. And I was like, yeah, I figured that out. And yeah, eventually that friendship didn't work out. So there are also limits to my flexibility. And I think that's absolutely fine, because if you're too flexible, you become a pushover, right? So you can be flexible, but firm, right? You know your limits, you know where you stop, you know where your boundaries are. And that was what I showed in that moment, because I knew I was understanding. I knew I could accommodate to him and like to his situation going on. And I knew he had a lot, but I needed a little bit back. I knew I needed to be communicated with in the least. And he can do that for me. And so that was that. But yeah, I think that moment also made me really proud of myself, because I knew that I'd given my all and I tried my hardest with that friendship, but I also knew that there's a line and I don't need to like bend myself so much to just please other people, or like we should meet each other kind of halfway, or sometimes I, you know, bend more towards them and then they bend more towards me, but like it shouldn't be all or nothing either way. Yeah. Let me think. Another way I practice flexibility is honestly with routine and working out and things like that. Because as a college student, you don't really have a set schedule. Like throughout the week, maybe. But like I don't take that many credits. I don't have that many classes. So it's pretty liberal, and that allows me really to build a routine that works for me. And what I've discovered is the routine that works for me is actually flexibility, because I don't like to wake up at the same time every day. I don't like to work out the same time every week. I don't like to do the same thing every day. I don't know why, it just doesn't really work for me. I like to be able to change. Like yesterday I had to wake up earlier for a class, but today I want to be able to wake up later. And Tuesday I did yoga in the morning, but today is a Friday and I'm gonna do yoga in the evening at 6 p.m. And just having that flexibility with routine has made life so much easier, because it's not now about, oh, I have to do this, then I have to do this, or feeling like you're already behind in the day. It's more like making the day work for you and the hours work for you. And yeah, sometimes I like to do like my work and my editing in the afternoon. Other times I like to do it in my bed. I literally do like my editing in my bed in the morning. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with being able to easily adapt. In reality, I know there's a lot about having a strict routine online, but the people that are able to kind of move and be flexible and still do the things that they need to do, they're the ones that are winning, because they're able to adapt. If you're someone that needs things to be like this, and you need to be here in order to get this done, and here to get that done, and you need to do this every morning at this time, like by all means go for it, but just maybe question a little bit, how sustainable is that? Because I know the feeling of living a life of that rigidity, and it gets really stressful when you just miss one thing. All of a sudden it feels like you fucked up your day. And so honestly, it's made me happier and more productive to start practicing flexibility in my days and changing the times that I do things, the times that I eat lunch, the places where I work, because, and I understand that those are privileges, but also I think it's because I make, space to be able to do that. And it's made me happier and more productive, because in the long run, I'm going to be able to keep going. Like the routine that I'm building, which is a routine of flexibility, is sustainable wherever I go for years and years and years. But if I live a life of rigidity, it's not sustainable, because in a year, what if I need to move, or I have a holiday, or I don't know, my job changes, whatever, and all of a sudden I don't have the same routine, it's going to freak me the fuck out and I'm going to break down. But being so flexible is allowing me to build a sustainable future for myself. And in the long run, I'm going to be more productive. And I don't mean that we need to be productive, but I'm just saying it makes sense, right? Again, I think I've said this before, but tortoise and the hare, go slowly, guys. Go slowly and build something sustainable. Not fast, boom, 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 because it's gonna break. It's gonna break down. And I know about breakdowns. I had one last year and I ended up in a psychiatric ward, and I had to face all my issues. And it's because the life I was living and building was unsustainable. Just because you are surviving the way you are living right now doesn't mean it's right, or doesn't mean that you will be able to keep going like that forever. I thought when I was really living an unsustainable life with bulimia and abuse and all these different things, I didn't really try hard to change it or get myself out, because I thought, I'm alive, I'm surviving, I've survived. I don't know, I almost thought I was quitting a little bit by trying to get out of it, and maybe taking the easy route out, especially with recovering from my eating disorder. I thought, what if I'm just taking the easy route out? I could survive with this eating disorder. And the truth is I couldn't, because eventually I did have a breakdown. I was really hard on myself. I thought, Lydia, other people like are alive. Other people are surviving with eating disorders. Like, why are you being a baby? Why do you have to go to hospital and recover from it? That's how I spoke to myself sometimes. Um, and I had to go to hospital because I wasn't being a baby, because the reality is that I was broken and I was breaking down. So I had to remind myself, oh, just because other people were surviving with eating disorders and not at the stage I was, where I was like in a hospital, not able to live with myself anymore, it doesn't mean that they're sustainable. And it doesn't mean that they are living sustainable lives. Like, their breakdown might come. It might be in 5 years, it might be in 20 years, it might be in 30. But eventually that point comes where you realize that the life you're living is not sustainable. And by no means am I being like, they're eventually going to have their downfall. I'm just saying that it could come next year, it could come in 30 years, but you will have the breakdown. Mine came at the age of 19. And now I know that I want to build a life that is sustainable, and a key part of that is flexibility for me. And I practice that every day, just by the choices I make, by the food I pick, by the places I go, by the way I respond to decisions. I can't tell you how to practice flexibility, because flexibility for me looks different to flexibility on you. But I guess just have a think about the choices you make and whether you're making them out of I have to or like I want to, and this works for me. And again, it's all about finding what works for you and what kind of lifestyle works for you, what routine. Because some people do benefit from saying 8 a.m. this and then 10 a.m. that, but also just practicing a little bit of flexibility around that. Like, if I miss this thing at 10, is it going to be okay? But yeah, just look after yourselves and be so kind to yourself and just get to know yourself, honestly. That's all we can do on this earth. That's the gift we've been given, literally, is to get to know ourselves. On this brief time we have together on this earth, we get to know ourselves really, really well. Because at the end of the day, all we have is ourselves and our souls. And the people around us, of course, but ourselves, yeah. I love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Children of Divorce. This podcast means everything to me. And it's like why I wake up. And it's given me such a great sense of purpose. So I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate Mr. Hammond so much, my fixed window. And I'm going to go have a really good lunch now. I'm so excited. But yeah, have a great day, guys. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.